Hey everyone, today I've got another Cardfight Vanguard deck profile today. Instead, well, it is, but instead of it being an overdressed deck, this is for one of its older formats. This is for the V series, and it is Sunrise Ray Knight Gurguit. This was, well, part of one of the final sets from the V series that came out, set 12, and this guy in another deck might kind of be responsible for the creation of Overdress. But that's besides the point. I'm doing a V-Series deck today because, well, I want to get back into that format, especially since everything is finally starting to clear up from the you-know-what that we're not allowed to talk about. And, well, let's just start. So, unlike in the Overdress series, we do not have a ride deck in this format. But, of course, just to get it out of the way, we will start with the Grade 0 starter. This is Knight of Early Dawn Coel. When it is rolled upon, you draw a card. And then if your opponent's Vanguard is Grade 1 or greater, you get a Quick Shield. Pretty basic for a V-Series starter. Well, they're all like that. They're probably my favorite starters because no matter if you go first or second, you get to draw. So, well, now that we got the starter out of the way, let's just go on to the main guy himself, Gurguit. Okay, so his first ability is during your turn, if your opponent's Vanguard is Grade 3 or greater, this unit and all your other units placed by a card's ability this turn get an extra 5k for each additional rearguard circle you've got. So, since this is an Excel deck, you can create more circles for yourself, which is pretty cool. And, well, the Excel marker we use for this is Excel 2. Because it lets you draw an extra card, and it's arguably the best imaginary gift in the game. Besides Protect 1, of course. And its other ability, when it attacks or is being attacked, you can Counterblast 1, look at the 5 cards at the top of your deck, call up to 2 of them, and then, of course, you shuffle your deck. And, of course, if you're the one being attacked, you call them to the Guardian Circle instead of your rear guards. So, that's Gurguit. He's pretty good. Yeah. Again, he was kind of what probably created the whole Overdress format. And he's just really good. Of course, one of the other Grade 3s we've got is Battlefield Storm Sagramore. He was part of all Gold Paladin decks in V-Series, essentially since the start when they were brought in. And his ability is on Vanguard or Rearguard. When this is placed from hand, you Soul Blast 1, draw a card, and then you call a card from your hand to Rearguard Circle. That allows you to use cards such as this, where you have to place them from a card's ability if they're in your hand already. Usually you'd want to call stuff like this and the other one from the top of the deck. However, if they're already in your hand, they're kind of dead cards unless you've got this guy or another card that's in the deck as well. And so, of course, our other Grade 3. We've got a few more. These are some one-of Grade 3s. This is Plenary Dragon. During the turn that it attacked, if you have 5 or more rear guards, when your opponent would call cards from his or her hand to the Guardian Circle, he or she must call 2 or more that turn. Pretty good. I'm only playing one of it right now. But he's a pretty cool finisher, I think. Now, the other card in this deck that arguably created the Overdress format, Bluish Flame Liberator Percival. This guy used to be a 4-of in Gurguit, but then he was completely restricted from being used with Gurguit, and now he's just restricted to 1 altogether. So, yeah, this guy's pretty broken. All of your units on additional rearguard circles get plus 5k, and that's his first Vanguard ability, and then his other Vanguard or rearguard ability. When placed, if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, counterblast 1 and discard a card from your hand, get an imaginary gift Ezel, search your deck or drop zone for Oath Liberator Aggro Veil and call it, and if you search your deck, you shuffle that. And then this ability may only be used by a card with the same name once per turn, blah blah. And even with a once per turn thing, this guy was still broken. And then for the final grade 2s of this deck, we've got Dragon. Again, he's kind of a card that's been in Gold Paladin decks since the start. Vanguard or Rearguard ability. When it attacks, counterblast 1. Call a card from your hand to Rearguard circle. So again, this... Oh, and give it an extra 5k until the end of the battle. Or give this guy an extra 5k until the end of the battle. Again, it's another card that lets you use abilities that would usually involve calling from the top of the deck if they're already in your hand. So it helps out a lot. And then another card that does that is one of your grade 2s, Knight of Spring's Light Perrymore. It has a Vanguard or Rearguard ability. Counterblast 1, call a grade 2 or less from your hand, and then draw a card. So there's that, and then when placed by a card's ability, this unit gets an extra plus 5k attack or shield depending on the turn. So it gets extra attack if it's called on your turn, and if it's called on your opponent's turn, it gets extra defense instead. Pretty cool. So this is, yeah, most of the Gold Paladin decks are aggressive. However, this is one of the only, well, it is the only one that kind of has a more of a defensive style. Well, it's kind of a mix, I guess. And then, of course, Percival's little friend. Well, not little friend, but partner. Oath Liberator Aggro Veil. When placed on Vanguard Circle, counterblast 1. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Call up to one of them to a rearguard circle, and then put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. And then on rearguard, when it attacks, put another rearguard into your soul, and this guy gets an extra 10k until the end of the battle, and then you return him to your hand. Pretty nice. You've got Knight of Strong Favors, Berengaria, something like that. It has 2 abilities. When placed by a card's ability, you get one of the effects below. Counterblast 1, Soul Charge 1. Soul Blast 1, Counter Charge 1. Really, you can use whichever one you want, depending on the situation. We've got this grade 1. Sunshine Knight Jeffrey. When placed, look at the top 7 cards of your deck and reveal up to 1 Sunrise Ray Knight Gurguit or Knight of Spring's Light Perrymore from among them and put it into your hand, and then, of course, shuffle your deck. And then on Guardian and Rearguard Circle, when placed by a card's ability, this unit gets an extra 5k attack or shield. Pretty good. And we've got another Searcher for grade 3s. Dawning Knight Gorbaduck. When placed on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 grade 3 among them, and put it into your hand. Then, of course, you shuffle, and if you put a card in your hand, you discard 1 card. And then its other ability, Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, during your turn, if you called 2 or more units this turn, this card gets an extra 5k. Pretty cool. And then for the final grade 1s of this deck, Listener of Truth Dindrain. We talked about this card before. When it is placed by your card's ability, you Soul Blast 1, you draw, and then you pick draw a card or countercharge 1, and it gets an extra 3k for the turn. So pretty good. Most of the time you might want to use the countercharge, but you also might want to get the draw. So it gives you that choice, which is good. And then, of course, to finish off any Vanguard deck, we've got the triggers. We've got 4 of this critical trigger. We've got 4 of this front trigger. We've got 4 of these heels. Now, of course, to wrap it up, the 4 draw perfect guards. These draw perfect guards are the only effect triggers in not overdress the V series. So yeah, that's it. I'm probably going to do a few more V series decks in the future. So I hope you enjoyed this one. It was a little bit different, and I'm hoping to finally get around to doing some of my other things that I have to do now that now that the overdress decks are caught up. I hope you enjoyed this video.